The QPR Podcast Live is supported by bwin, who are offering 5-1 that QPR will bounce straight back with promotion to the Premier League. For more QPR and football odds, go to bwin.com.
QPR, QPR, Richmond Rangers are on the up and up. QPR, QPR, now we're heading for European Cup.
Welcome back to part 2 of QPR Podcast Live at the Good Ship, Kilburn. He wears a magic hat. He plays for Richmond Rangers. He stops a lovely chat. He scores with his left foot. He scores with his right. Oh, when we play against Chelsea, he scores all fucking night. So, in case you didn't get it, if you're listening tomorrow, we have Kevin Gallen with us for part 2. And we had one change in the interval. We have Clive Whittingham from Loft for Words with us. So, boo!
Just as good looking as...
Clive's microphone doesn't work.
Just as good looking as Chris Mendes, so no one's going to notice the difference.
Okay.
Really? You're talking about the Portuguese dreamboat, although it doesn't like to be called that.
So, this second half, after a brilliant first half with Neil Warnock, is any questions with Kevin Gallen. If you're here with us at the Good Ship, if you want to ask a question, put your hand up, come down to the bottom, and we'll give you the mics. I guess I'll start. I'll start with the first question.
What is Finney doing, by the way?
Finney is poised.
Okay. That's a really bad... Really?
Finney's poised with a microphone for any questions.
It should be you, really.
Kevin, I'm going to bring it down completely because we're going to talk about this season, I'm afraid. Did QPR get what they deserved? Got what they deserved?
Jesus Christ, starting a high note. Jesus, David, really?
Thanks,
Cheers for that, yeah. After Neil Warnock's great performance, he's start me off with like that.
Did you and Neil Warnock cross when you were working at the club?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. When I sort of finished playing football, I joined in at the youth with the youth, and Neil Warnock was the manager. And I was just chatting to him there just before he left, and he was a good guy, done excellent for QPR. Obviously, the stories from that championship season was great, and probably everyone feels maybe if he was, when he just spoke there before, if he was probably given that transfer window, things might have been different, but we'll never know. So, but he was, he just, when he was the manager, he sort of let us get on with the youth team and get on with it, and he was very supportive, and he was a very good manager for QPR. He's up there with the best of QPR managers over the recent history.
You'll say we'll never know, but I mean, do you think in retrospect, given what happened afterwards, I mean, as he himself said, we weren't in the bottom 3, we won 3 away games. Do you think he should have been given a bit longer to try and sort it out?
Well, like he just said, the transfer window was coming up, and he said that the games that were coming up were not, like, there's no easy games in the Premiership, everyone knows that, but probably more winnable games than the previous maybe 6 or 7 that QPR had. So we don't know what targets he had or this, that and the other, but with the financial backing that the next managers have got, who knows what kind of signings he would have made, and that could have been made a massive difference.
Yeah, and in your own current situation, I mean, Andy Sinton, I think, is the latest former player to be inducted, if you like, into QPR. Is there any way back for you?
Well, look, I don't know. I don't know. Look.
Oh, is it?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Well,
Sorry, I didn't
on that
realise.
subject, it's I think everyone knows my love for QPR. It's always be there. I've got 3 kids now, and I live in St Albans, and I send them off to school with QPR badges. And my daughter actually said to me, "Kevin, not Dad, what?" She is my daughter, by the way. Well, I hope so. She said to me, "What about relegation? What does that mean?" I said, "Well, we're sort of we're going down to the Championship, so we're not in the Premier next year, Daddy." I went, "No, but don't worry. We still support QPR. They got in with badges, so I'm a QPR fan. I'd love to work for QPR. You know, I was working at Millwall last season doing scouting with our ex-manager Ian Holloway, so that was nice. And I've had an offer from another Championship club to do scouting and maybe come in and do coaching with the strikers, but I've got to say, you know, I don't really want. I'd rather work for QPR than work for a rival in the league. So it's out of my hands. We'll see.
So basically, should we bring Kevin Gallen home? I think we should, yes.
Well, no, it doesn't work like that, and I understand that. You know, the manager's there now, and he has to have people he trusts, and managers have that. You know, they always have people that they want in at the club, but we'll see.
We'll go to a question from Mixler, and then we've got one here with us at the Good Ship. Killian Brennan, I guess this is as a QPR fan. What would you enjoy more, a season in the Championship, potentially winning games and challenging for promotion, or a season in the Premier League, losing and most probably struggling to stay up?
Yeah, that's a difficult question, because I remember last season, went to the first game of the season, was it Sheffield Wednesday, and we won. I remember we went 1-0 down, and we came back and we won 2-1. And I remember coming out of the ground, and I could see all the crowd and all the fans were buzzing and happy, where the previous season we couldn't get a win, and if we did, it was few and far between. So it's a very good question. You know, at the end of the day, the fans need to be entertained and need to go home happy. You know, it's a tough question. Obviously, we all want to be in the Premiership and want to be winning games, but it's a very difficult league. So I don't know, but hopefully next season we can win some games and send everyone home happy every now and again.
Yeah. Got a question here?
My name's Jazz. My question is, imagine you're given the job as QPR manager next season, and the first thing you do, what is it?
Well,
practically or as an overall thing, just what's the first thing you go?
The first thing I would do, I think there needs to be a big clear out of players. That's me personally. I think the culture of the football club has to change. I think players have come to QPR in the last few years not to play really, but to pick up a lot of money, and pretty much sit on their asses, which is so disappointing, because the teams I played for at QPR, that was not the case. I think definitely need to, you know, everyone keeps saying about young players, this, that, yeah, but, you know, there has to be a bit of a blend. You have to bring young players in, you've got to bring 25, 26-year-old players, and then you've got to have good senior players as well to help those young players along. So there's got to be a mixture. But I know, like, when Richard Dunn was signed a couple of years ago, you know, he sort of, last season I thought he was great. Up to, you know, until he sort of came back from injury, but he looked like he had something to prove that he could still play in a first team, and I thought he'd done really well. And you need to buy players who want to play, who want to play every week and have something to prove. And the culture at QPR needs to change, I think, big time, and hopefully it will, with signing of really hungry players, not coming for the money. I know players, and I've heard players speak over the years, and they're from other clubs, and they say, oh, love to go and play for QPR, and you're like, why? Well, because they're just giving out shed loads of money. And that's a sad indictment of what's happened at QPR for the last 3 or 4 years. So it's not. What the answer is, you need to sign. You need. Well, no. The answer is, for me, you stop paying the big money and you say, hold on, there's a cap. We ain't paying above this anymore. Yeah. It's got to stop. And now, if it takes a few years to get back to the Premiership, look, if Bournemouth can do it, why can't QPR do it? That's how I look at it. If there's good clubs out there, if they can do it, I can't see how QPR. But the culture of the football club has to change, and it starts with the players and it starts with recruitment.
The question about whether you want to be in the Premier League or the Championship should be an easy one, because if we were in the Premier League doing it like Swansea are doing it or Stoke are doing it, we'd all be having a bloody lovely time, wouldn't we? Yeah. So is it not... It's indicative. We know that if we come into the Premier League again, chances are the way they've run the club and the way they taught is they would do it wrong again. So you've actually got QPR fans thinking, well, maybe we'd be better off in the Championship playing Rotherham. That's how bad the club is.
Yeah, exactly. You're spot on, because I'm only saying that, and we're only thinking that because of what's happened last season. Now, for the next, maybe if we get promoted next year or the season after with a team that's hungry, that plays for the badge and plays for the club, we won't be saying that.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. The Premier League's the place to be.
If Southampton can do it, we're paying much more wages than Southampton, but they're doing great. So is Swansea. It's got to change, and I think it will.
Question here.
Hi, Kev. I agree with you about we need hungry players. I think we're better off going for players from sort of leagues below, and so they're hungry to get to the Premier League, as we've seen with Charlie Austin. Oh, yeah. If you were the manager, which 2 strikers would you sign? Ooh. Tomorrow. Sorry to put you on the spot, Kev.
Well, no, I mean, first it's very about Charlie Austin, and the best signing we've made over the last, maybe 3 or 4 years is Charlie Austin. Yeah. Because he's come from a lower division. Got that, yeah. And he wants to. We should be signing players who want to come to QPR, and this, whatever. Charlie Austin's not a QPR fan. I'm sure he loves the club. Yeah. But if Liverpool comes in for Charlie Austin or where, he wants to go. Yeah. Now, that's different for other players. If you're like when I was a player, I just wanted to play for QPR. Yeah. But Charlie Austin, if he moves, but that's a great signing. We sign him for 4 million. We get 2 great years out of him, and we sell him for 10 or 15, whatever. That's a great signing for us. Matt Phillips, his last 2 or 3 months of the season have been excellent. Yeah. Now,
they were both hungry players, weren't they? They were both.
I'm saying they've come from the lower leagues. I mean, I look at why couldn't we have signed? Is it Callum Wilson at Bournemouth? Yeah, it's a great player. Yeah. From Coventry, I've seen him last year playing. He's a great player. We didn't take a gamble on. Bournemouth did. They're in the Premiership.
I know Burnley got relegated, but you look at it. They're going down this year, but at the same time, you look at them and you look at us. They're probably in a better shape than what we are, because they've got hungry. They've got
hungry players
that still want to go. But QPR have got a load of, I ain't being funny, middle-aged sort of players that are over the hill. That are at the end of their careers, that are on big fat wages, and they couldn't care less whether they were getting relegated or not.
No, not at all. You're bang on right. So we need to. There is good players. There is good players in the lower leagues. Yeah. I've seen them. Look at Jamie Vardy at Leicester. Yeah. It's a good player. Yeah. Very good player. Yeah, what did they sign him off Fleetwood? I played against when I was playing for Luton in the conference. I played against him. I looked at him and I went, bloody, he was a good player. Yeah. Leicester took a gamble on him. So we need 3 or 400 grand, and now he's in the England squad.
We need to get you in as a scout, get down there lower and pick out the centre forward that's going to take us back to the Premier.
There is players out there, but you've got to take the gamble. But I go back to the culture of the club. Those players probably would have come to QPR and just...
So which 2 strikers would you have signed tomorrow?
Gallen and Ferdinand.
I mean, Callum Wilson, man, I still like Hooper of Norwich. I think he's still... I know he didn't play yesterday, but even as a backup striker, you can't... Look, QPR, the problem with QPR, you can't rely on Charlie Austin to score. Someone else has got to score and help him, or you've got to have a midfielder scoring goals. You can't just rely on Charlie Austin's 18 goals. That's not the way to stay up in the Premier League.
Yeah, totally.
So you can't have just one striker. You need some goals. Look at Liverpool this season. Then they don't have Suarez. They finished 6th. Steven Gerrard's their top scorer. It's just...
I think the fella said it there, Gallen and Ferdinand up front.
Yeah, well...
The question...
20 years ago.
The question I want to ask you, Kevin, as a QPR... Like, how many people here, right, all of us, have ever dreamt of wearing that blue and white shirt? Seriously, wearing the hoops. How many? Come on, put your hands up. How many dreams we've had of wearing that shirt? You did it.
Not many then.
I dreamt it.
They're obviously not very good.
3, by the looks of it.
When you were a child and that there, what was it like making your debut as a QPR fan whose this day would ever come? What was it like? Because I was squinty, so I was awkward.
Yeah,
Squint Eastwood, I think you said your nickname was.
It's sort of, if I look back when I was a kid and you go to QPR and you go and watch and you just think it's sort of a daydream and you're like, oh, I'd love to do that, and then you get to sort of 12, 13 and you're like, oh, I'm actually not too bad, and I'm playing for like my school team, West London, Inner London and stuff like that, and then I was like playing at Watford as well, and then QPR said, look, I was playing for my son team, QPR said, come down, we want to sign you as a schoolboy. And then you're like thinking, hold on a minute, yeah, it's not bad, this. I've got half a chance. And then, to be fair, I look back and I sort of, from the ages of 14, 15, 16, I started becoming not bad, pretty good. And now I'm thinking, hold on, I've got a chance here of becoming a football player. And when you're at school and you go in on a Saturday, you're watching QPR on a Saturday, and then eventually you leave school and you walk in and your first day of training, and you know Alan MacDonald turns up, hello, and you're like putting your head down, and you're like Ray Wilkins and Les Ferdinand and Clive Wilson, and back when I joined QPR in 1992. I was just saying to a lad up there, what a fantastic team and what a fantastic blokes as well. I mean, the banter was rife, and I used to get slaughtered. Like Alan MacDonald used to just nail me every day. If I had a spot on my head, it would be like ding dong or pizza face. But this wouldn't be just once. This would be like 40 times a day. If he's seen you, it was just relentless, and it was a bit of a growing up experience. And I used to be going, I hate him, and I used to love him. I hate him, but like David Barsley and stuff, and they would all do. But it was good grounding. They used to take the mick, to take the piss out of you. But do you know what I mean? You sort of grew up really quick from being like the big man at school at 16. Now you're the little one getting slaughtered by people who you adore. And you're like, well, I can't really say anything back to them, or they'll just absolutely hammer me, and they'll call me big time and this. But walking through that door, and even I forgot to say it, but you know, Jerry Francis is the manager, and even if he said hello to you down the corridor, you'd like go home happy. Daddy said hello to me, like, oh, fucking brilliant, because you're like, from what you've heard before, from your parent, from my dad, from being a season ticket, Jerry Francis is the man. He's one of the greatest players ever to play for QPR. So it was just an absolutely amazing experience.
But didn't you
walking in at 16 in the changing rooms and getting boots thrown at, go and fucking clean them, and you're like, oh, no problem.
Sorry, but didn't you break Jimmy Greaves' record?
I did. Yeah. I mean, that was in the South East Counties League, and that was there's two different. It's all different now, but it's like Premier League. If Premier League 1 and Category 2, Category 1 and Category 2. So I'm quite proud of that record, because when I played South East Counties, we played against Tottenham, Arsenal, West Ham. Some like the big Chelsea, the big hitters of London. Now, like at the moment, QPR not in that. QPR got to play against Cardiff's and Crystal Palace, and unfortunately we're not Category 1, we're Category 2. So to break that record was I look back at it, I'm proud of that record, but at the time it's just all I was thinking of was, if I score these goals, I can move up to the next level and play in the first team. That was what I was thinking.
Can you just confirm what that record was, just in case anyone's No,
I don't know exactly, but it was something. I don't know.
No, I don't mean the exact figure, but what?
It was around. I think it was around 120 goals in 2 seasons.
Is that all?
Yeah,
something like that.
Good. So, Kevin, right? What I'm thinking is, you're a QPR fan. You're on the pitch, Sheffield Wednesday. The ball ball kind of hits you and goes in the net.
Yeah.
It was a great goal for us. I remember back behind the loft, going absolutely mental. You were on the pitch. How the fuck was that? Oh, Shay, sorry.
No swearing. You just said a swear word to recover your swear word.
You're talking about my debut goal at home. Yeah, I mean, just unbelievable. So I mean, I think we're going over old ground here, and I don't want to. Everyone's probably heard it, but it was just the most amazing feeling. And to be fair, I scuffed it, and it went in the corner, and I just couldn't sleep. Went to bed about 5 o'clock, and I was just going through my head and just buzzing. The buzz of scoring your first goal for QPR was just unreal. Yeah.
Kev, I wanted to ask you, and this is any questions for Kevin, so there's a seat down here. If anyone's got a question, come and sit yourself here and we'll give you the mic.
Come on, Andy.
2001, we got relegated at Huddersfield, and you were playing in that game.
No.
Or sorry, you weren't playing in that game, but you were a Huddersfield player at that time.
Yet again, you kill the atmosphere.
Yeah, sorry. What was that like?
Pretty shit.
It was awkward. It was awkward. I remember it was 1-1 and there was like 10 minutes to go, and I was on the bench and I'm literally sunk in my chair doing this. I don't want to come on here. So I was like, Lou Makaru's our manager, and I'm like, fuck, I don't want to come on here. And luckily, unluckily for QPR, he put on someone else who then literally scored a tap in, which, if I was probably on the pitch, it would have probably landed to me. So, and don't ask the next question. So, don't ask that one. So, but it was just sad. It was a weird feeling, because I remember coming out of the changing rooms, and I went to see Ian Holloway on the coach, and I sort of said, look, and he was like near tears in his eyes, and I was like, gee, this is no good. Do you know what I mean? And I remember that, and my brother had come up, and my cousin from America he was over, and he came up, and we got the train back and there was loads of QPR fans on the train. We got the train back to King's Cross, and I was chatting to the fans, and obviously they were just distraught. I was absolutely gutted, but it was a weird. It wasn't a great situation at all.
Pleased you didn't get on.
Oh, delighted.
Question here.
Question, by the way.
Hi, Kev.
Hi.
Basically, of the promotion season, out of the squad, who was the biggest practical joker in the changing room?
There was. We had that. No.
Was it you? Chris just pointed to Kev.
No. Well, I was up there having. We was always, when you have a successful team, there's always good. It's always good camaraderie, good banter in the changing room, and we the lads, that was a great bunch of lads who obviously we played well and worked really hard for each other, but we had some fun in the changing rooms. And
what was the biggest prank you played that season?
You put me on the spot now. I can't remember, but we had obviously Birch was very lively in the changing room, to say the least.
Blue and white hair.
The blue and white hair. He got a lot of stick for that, and the lion tattoo on his arm after the Millwall game. Me and Gareth Ainsworth gave him plenty of stick, but Gareth Ainsworth was great fun, and Martin Rowlands, and even all that Danny Shitu, and it was just a really good squad. Great squad of lads, and obviously the manager at the time, Ian Holloway, was, he probably is the biggest practical joker out of all of us. I mean, I remember one time he came on the pitch, he brought like a stereo system while we were training. Kenny Jackett's taking training. He comes on the middle of the pitch, blares out music, puts it in the middle, starts dancing, and says, "Come on, you miserable bunch of fuckers, get dancing." And we're like, and I remember Kenny Jackett, who's like the straightest man, in football, just looking at him, and we're just like pissing ourselves, and he's like dancing there for like 5 minutes, and we're all just looking at him, what are you doing? But that was the times, and it was great fun.
Can I take you back to one particular game? Sheffield Wednesday, Hillsborough.
Yeah, I mean,
both tiers full. What? And they put the Bristol City score up as well, if I remember rightly. Did you see that?
Well, no, they heard. They put it, I think they put it on a tannoy as well. But do you know what? They should never have done that. That was out of order. I mean, that's just poor behaviour. Because what what difference has that got for Sheffield Wednesday? But it added actually a little bit of pressure, because you looked up on the screen and you see the score flashing, and you're like, oh God, and we're off. We're under pressure as it is, and we need to do something quickly. So luckily it all turned out all right in the end, and it was, got saved, probably the best few weeks of my life, really. That after that we had some good parties after that. It was brilliant. Even though, yeah, I know, and even though we even had the tour of the Hammersmith and Shepherd's Bush and around the ground when the bus. That was, yeah, we celebrated things there. It was really good. It was absolutely brilliant. I remember that till the day I die.
No, I remember that very well too. That train journey on the way back, and then at the pub that used to be called, it's now called was called the Stinging Nettle, and then it was called something. I don't know what it was called then, but anyway, the Bush Ranger. That was it. I was just going to say, like, sadly, bringing you back to the present day. I mean, what do you think the biggest factor in us getting relegated this season was?
Sorry, I don't know.
Sorry, everybody.
Thinking about it, it's just. Didn't score enough goals and conceded too many.
Yeah, great answer, Kev. Thanks very much. Good night.
Kev, how did you change your game after your injury? Because it was at that time it was an injury that, I mean, it still makes an impact, but back then it really made an impact. And you were a goal poacher before and more of a sort of hold up and lay guy afterwards. How did you sort of change after that injury?
Well, I just had a discussion up the stairs with a couple of lads there, and when I first got in the QPR team, the team, like I just mentioned before, was fantastic. I mean, Barsley, MacDonald, Maddox, Clive Wilson, Ray Wilkins was there about. He was sort of retiring. Simon Barker, but Trevor Sinclair, Impey. I mean, Les Ferdinand was one of the top goal scorers in the league every season, and we had some good players on the bench. Now, you say that after I'd done my knee. But when I came back and with the Ian Holloway scene, I wasn't playing with that sort of standard of player. So I sort of ended up doing more of the focal point and getting hold of it and laying it off and getting the team building and trying to get in the box, because the team wasn't as good. I would say for a few years with Ian Holloway, I was playing as good as football that I was before that, but it was at a different level and with different types of play. No disrespect to the players I was playing with, but we can all hold our hands up here and say that team from 1991, 92 to 95 was one of the best QPR teams in the last 30, 40 years. So I was actually doing more work outside the box than what I wanted to do when looking back. But that was the times, and
yeah, I
was never as fit playing for QPR than I was playing for under Ian Holloway, and strong, and I managed to play over 100 games without injury, which for me was probably my biggest achievement, playing for QPR, where previously I was playing like 5, 6, 7, 8 games and pulling my hamstring, and it was, once that happens, you just never get into any rhythm and you can't find any fitness.
Having seen Ian Holloway, the way he managed QPR, and the story you told there was fairly typical of it, and then seeing him more recently, particularly at Millwall. I mean, you worked with him at Millwall. What has changed there? It seems that he's not the same guy. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, look, everyone changes, don't they? I mean, that was, what was that, 2000, it's 10, 12 years ago. He was hungry then. He had his motivation skills, not only for the team, but even for the fans. He got everyone on side. We was in administration, but he got everyone together, didn't he? I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but it seemed that everyone was pulling in the right direction, and it was more than now, like more of sort of a family club. I think we've gone away from that, and I've got to mention this. It's been on my mind for a long time, but I went to Alec MacDonald's funeral when he died, unfortunately, a few years ago, which is obviously for everyone of QPR fans sad. But I went to that funeral, and so did like Andrew Impey, Darren Peacock, Simon Barker. The only person who turned up from QPR, well, there was two. It was Terry Springett, the secretary. I think Dave Robertson. No one from the first team, no one from the management, no one turned up, and that's not QPR. That's not the QPR I grew up with. That's not the QPR we all grew up with. And I just think now it's out of order. I also think I also think there was another member of staff at QPR, John O'Brien, who worked with the youth team. He was full-time. He died 6 weeks ago, and I know I'm bringing the a bit down, but I went to that funeral as well. Steve went to that funeral. He was full-time at QPR. But what sort of saddened me again was, I don't work for QPR, Steve does, but no one else from QPR went to that. The manager of Fulham was there, the chief executive of Fulham were there was 10 members of the staff of Fulham there was 6 or 7 Chelsea there was 5 or 6 Arsenal there, and you're thinking, hold on a minute, what's going on here? And I just don't think, I'll say it again, don't think we need to get back, and that's why the culture of the club has to change.
I mean, going back taking it back very briefly to Ian Holloway, because sorry, Steve, you're getting on very, very, very quickly. I used to do a column with Ollie for the BBC, like for a couple of years, and I think what I've noticed is that because when I started with him, it was with Plymouth, and he went to Leicester. That was ill-fated, and then he carried on, and for whatever reason, it stopped. He seemed. Basically, he was saying, I want to be taken seriously as a football manager. I don't want to be known just as a joker. And at that point, when that happened, it all started to go wrong. You know, he almost wanted to change his personality, and for every interview after that, he was being serious instead of clowning around. And yet, when he was clowning around, that seemed to be when he was doing all right.
Yeah, I mean, when he was probably with the media clowning around, and he did the odd bit of clowning around, but he was deadly serious when we were playing football. And he used to pull me if I weren't playing well and say, look, you got to do this and that, and you take it on the chin, or you might disagree, but you just get on with it. But yeah, I agree. Look, obviously his best times have been with QPR. He done wonders at Blackpool as well. So, I mean, I played with him at Plymouth, and he was sort of the same sort of thing at when he was at Plymouth and at QPR. He had everyone pulling in the right direction. And you know, when you see that advert, Green Army, I remember in the offices, he'd be just walking around the offices up and down the corridor saying, Green Army! And all the secretaries would say, Green Army! And it was like, just laughing. It was brilliant. But he had that sort of personality and
Steve,
that thing.
Over to you, mate. Sorry.
The reason I was quite keen to come in there, because my question is about culture as well. We've had a lot of new appointments to the club recently. Perry Suckling, Lee Hoos. Obviously, Les a few months ago. Ramsey's been confirmed as permanent. Andy Sinton, club ambassador, whatever that is. Do you think that's enough to address what's been happening with culture? And if not, what does need to happen? Because, like Tony Fernandez has said, my senior team is now complete. Is it enough to make the changes that need to happen?
Easy question.
Oh no, yeah, it's tough questions. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, because who knows? But it's a start. Now, it all sort of stems from the top, obviously. Now, the signings, we don't know what's going to happen and what signings we're going to make, or what judgment we think how QPR are going to do next season. So if someone's asked me, how do you think we'll do next season? I'll be like, well, I don't know. Until we make these signings and who they are and how good they are and what type of player they are. But it needs to sort of start with, like I said before, a clear out of the... Because we haven't... If anyone gets cleared out or gets sold, apart from Charlie Austin or whatever who've done well, they can't really sort of say, oh, I've been hard done by. This is an expected. We just went to Leicester and lost 5-1. Yeah. I mean, that's not acceptable, is it? No, I don't think so. No. I looked at the score and I'm like thinking, well, we've got off. We've done all right against Newcastle, but we're playing Leicester. They're not. It's not Real Madrid, and we lose 5-1. And I'm just thought, come on, they've got to be better than that.
The fundamental question, though, for me is, can the culture change? And
I think it will take time. I think there's been stories of bad eggs and this, that and the other. Well, the manager obviously knows. Les obviously knows who they are. if they are bad eggs, and hopefully they'll be getting rid of. The unfortunate thing is, if they're under contract, it's difficult to get rid of them.
Kev, we've got a question from Mixler here. If you could change one thing at the club right now, what would it be?
The badge.
What's your favourite badge?
I like the one I played in, but I seen a couple on Twitter the other day, and I thought they're quite nice actually. So I don't know who done those, but there is. That's all right, except for the podcast, but that's all right. But I like the shield with the shield with the design, and I don't mind keeping the London W12 in because that's got sort of a bit of a global appeal. But yeah. What? Just a bit swell. Yeah, well, no one abroad knows.
You're not on mic,
London W12 with or whatever. I quite like that, but I do think I even the current badge. If you take out the fluff and the crown and actually, Flavio's hair. It's all right.
I've got a skill bag. Everybody a skill bag from the 70s where you got the shield and just the QPR in the shield.
That's not too bad, and with like London W12, and look, I'm not a designer.
No, it doesn't even mean London, does it?
Yeah, of course.
I think it probably does.
Not the foreigner.
Hold on, Kev. Before these boys come in, I just wanted a quick question about Charlie Austin, and hopefully I've not asked the same question as you have. First of all, you were mooted for a $5 million move to Man United before you got injured. If you'd had the chance to join them, would you have done? And B, well, I think, to be honest, I mean, who wouldn't really? I'd
be richer.
And then B, the other part of the question was, Charlie Austin, what sort of club? I mean, obviously, he's not going to stay at QPR. We know that. What sort of club, if you were him, would you be looking to join?
Easy question.
Regarding the Man United thing, I don't know. There's a lot of paper talk at the time, but at the time I was playing for my team. We had a really good team at the time. I was living at home. I finished the first season at QPR's top London club, so I didn't really want to move to anywhere at the time, so it didn't happen. I don't regret things that don't happen. Regarding Charlie Austin, you know, if he could, I've said it loads of times, if he can just improve his outside of the box play, then he could play in the top 6 team. At the moment, I've watched him closely over the last year, but especially the last 2 or 3 months. He's a great goal scorer. He's great in the air, not as in flicking things on, but attacking balls that come in. And if he gets the right service, he'll score goals. I think he's looking at someone like a Southampton. That sort of type, and that would be, I mean, the way Southampton played and the way, you know, hats off to them. They sold players for bundles of money and then replaced them with not so much and done even better. So, you know, maybe he thinks maybe go to Southampton, get better, and then maybe move on to a top 6 club. So we don't know what's going on in his mind, but I can't see him staying at QPR, and he probably wants to stay in the Premiership.
Got time for a few more questions. Question here.
You've spoken tonight about the culture of the club and how we want to implement what we had previously. Looking at Les Ferdinand and what he's been tasked with doing, do you feel that his responsibility mainly to the club right now is to push forward what we were about, what we were used to be good at, which you touched on earlier, and what would you say in the first year of Les being in charge, or say the first season, what are Les's main things? What would you suggest if you were telling Les, what do you do right now, Les? What would you like him to see him doing?
From what I can gather, Les will be in charge of recruitment and Chris will be in charge of coaching and managing the team. What I'd like to see QPR, and that's obviously Les and everyone, is buy players, get players that, I've said it before, but hungry. But Les came from non-league and turned out to be one of the best players QPR's ever had. I mean, we signed Stan Bowles from Carlisle. Yeah. Turned out to be. We signed Charlie Austin from Burnley. What I'm trying to say is, we've done well when we sign players from below and they become better. So I could go back, Trevor Sinclair, Blackpool, Alan MacDonald come through the youth team, Jerry Francis come through the youth team. I'm not saying I came through the youth team. There's like the best players that sort of have come through and played for QPR are not the big hitters, the big signings. It's the ones where we've got them, seen a bit of potential, nurtured them, and got love. Darren Peacocks signed him for 250, sold him for 2.5 million. I mean, that's just that. It was, and I said this on the last podcast last year. We need to go and sign. Go out. People say there's no. Go out and buy the best non-league player. Go out and buy the best League Two. Yeah, go out and buy the best League Two, the best League One player, or go out and find the best conference youth team players.
Good scouting. Yeah, because get the eyes out there, get in the non-league, get in what was the blue square or what was the lower league many years ago. Get in there, get the eyes out there, get in those lower league games and see who's out there, who's available.
But you have to pay these. You can't just like send scouts out and not pay them because there's no motivation. They have to have some motivation to go to these games on a Tuesday night in February or January and it's pissing down. Like, where's the motivation? Don't just send them out there, give them a QPR jacket, because that don't mean nothing to the people if they don't support QPR. You have to pay them right, but you pay them for performance. So you scout him, we'll give you a bonus
for him.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Do you worry that... Because, I mean, Stephen Corker, I think, is the prime example of a player who was absolutely great and looked great and everything you should be signing sort of age and injury history-wise and has come here and done poorly. And we've had others like that at Junior Hoylett and, they come here and get worse. I thought Jordan Much was a really good signing. Do you worry that, you can scout or whatever and bring these players in, but while the club is as it is, with its infrastructure as it is, you can bring in who you like, but they're just going to come here and get worse unless that changes.
That's why I go back to the culture, and the culture is in the changing room. So it's obviously something's wrong in that changing room, and it has been for a few years. Last year was obviously okay because we got promoted, but we started. The year before was awful, but this year, obviously, we're bottom. Something like you said, Corker comes in, and everyone thinks that's a good signing. It's a decent signing. Even Leroy Fur, decent signing, but I think sometimes people, when you come to QPR for money and for location, it's a recipe for disaster.
Oh, well, all right. We've had the razor blade hour, right? We need to try and lift it a wee bit to different days. Mr. Blobby, did you meet him?
We did, yes.
Yes.
That was, I don't know. It's on YouTube now, isn't it?
So what the fuck was going on that day? Freak.
If anyone's seen that,
God.
We're talking about Noel's house party, aren't we? If anyone's seen that, yeah.
So you got all the kits, didn't you?
We got all the kits, and it was ludicrous. I remember Jerry Francis came up to a few of us, and we were young pros, and he said, "Are you coming down to the ground today for this?" Was it fashion show? And we went, no. He went, yeah, you're coming. Yeah, all right, Jerry, yeah, we'll be there. So that's like sort of the respect that we had. Sort of, fucking Jerry just told us we got to go if Jerry says. So we went down there, and then they came out in like frocks, and we were just laughing, but we never. We just thought it's just fashionistas just going haywire, and we was like, what are they doing? And then Noel Edmonds come out and with the gotcha, and then we actually went down to Noel's house party. That was that was a good thing to do. Yeah, it's good to show the kids.
And it's on YouTube if anyone
wants
it.
If you want to see it, yeah.
Got time for two more.
Oh, he's doing a normal colony here. 2 more questions, I think he was trying to say.
2 more at the front.
Kevin, are you going to be a permanent fixture on Magic Sponge next season? Or? No, you obviously know Les. Les is now the man with the plan. Are you able to tell us a bit about what Les is like? Do you think he's the right man? Is he shaping the club in the way you'd like? Is he setting the culture? Is he able to set the culture?
Well, I know Les as a teammate. I see him in the last 5 or 6 months, but before that I haven't seen him the odd time for 15-20 years, so it's difficult to me to say what he's like now than what he was as a player. But I think he's got the. He's got an idea, from what I can gather, he's got an idea in his head what QPR should be, and the culture that should be happening now, which probably is what he thinks back when he was a player at QPR. So, which is, it's like most teams who are successful, who do well. Everyone's got good camaraderie. Everyone can pull each other, but. It's difficult with QPR. It's just like we were just talking about before. It's like we sign good players, and they just become. It's just such a hard one. He's got such a hard job. He's just got such a hard job to do, really. And I think it's going to take a lot of time. And I think us fans have to be patient, especially with the rebuilding job, because it's a massive rebuilding job. And Chris Ramsey's in charge of the team, and Les is in charge of everything, pretty much everything. So there's going to be. I think there's going to be some times when the fans are going to be upset, and maybe. But I think we've got to be positive and support, and don't be hasty.
Yeah, obviously it's going to take time, and we as fans need to show the patience. But I don't know. Les never struck me as the kind of guy who, when he was a player, not that I knew him, but that would get involved in coaching or have this long-term strategic plan or anything like that. So it's just...
No, yeah, I agree. As a player, I never sort of thought that he would be... but he is now in charge, and he looks determined, and when I speak to him, he looks very... and seems very professional and determined about the job in hand. And I hope, and from gathering from what I hear from the training ground, he's really up for it, and... I just hope what he's trying to do, and we all hope, not just me, but we all hope that he can turn around. And I think the main thing is get a team that's hungry and playing for the badge and playing and giving 100% every week. And that's really what we're all hoping for, I think, because we all love to see that our team come off that pitch, whether we win, lose or draw, but give 100%.
I've got one serious question about Les Ferdinand. Do you know, did he really break into the Blue Peter Garden?
That was before my time, I don't know.
Question here.
Yep, Kev.
Hello.
I'll just end on a good note. Who was the best player you played with? Not just technically, but as a person for QPR?
I sort of played in different eras of QPR. I played in a really good one.
And the bad.
I've seen the good, the bad, and the good.
Yeah.
And technically, and as a player and as a pro, probably won't like this, but Ray Wilkins was absolutely just a stunning football player. His attitude, and for young lads coming through, especially me, the advice he used to give us, telling you what to do. He'd talk you through a match. He was just so vocal, but the way he just presented himself, came in, he was immaculate. He used to come in a suit, which was unheard of now, trousers, and the lads used to, like Ian Holloway used to be coming in with a tracksuit and a pair of DMs. Well, and they used to hang up his clothes every day, the lads. And then he got to a stage, because he was hanging up the clothes every day, he'd hang his own clothes up before they did it for him. And that was Alan MacDonald doing it every day. But Alan MacDonald, Les Ferdinand obviously was, but for someone who was coming to the end of his career, who couldn't really run, but his passing range, his brains, his awareness, as good as I've seen. And I've got to say, even when Jerry Francis was like 43, 44, when he used to join in training, he was unbelievable as well. I mean, he had the belly and the hair, but you could not. The mullet was going flapping in the wind, but you could not get the ball off Jerry Francis. He was as strong as an ox, unbelievable. But Ray Wilkins for me was just unbelievable player.
Why didn't it work for Ray as manager? Was it just a case of sold Les Ferdinand?
Yeah, pretty much. But I've said this many times. He sold Les. He didn't sold him, but Les wanted to leave, so he left. Clive Wilson left, but also Ray Wilkins come to the end of his time. You've just taken out 3 of your best players out of the team. Obviously, the replacements weren't as good, but were they ever going to be as good? How do you replace three players like that? And he didn't. And going into the season with me and Daniele as just the only two strikers, we'll go back to it. Well, QPR this season with Charlie Austin as the only strikers. I was 19, Daniele was 20. Going into a Premiership season is hard. That shouldn't have. That was the one mistake, getting a decent replacement for.
They got Mark Haitley to help you out there.
But yeah, I agree. That obviously didn't work out. But everyone at the time thought it was, and even I was excited.
He signed on crutches.
We signed on crutches, and he came onto a muddy pitch in Acton with a velvet Gucci suit on. All the other lads were like, "Here we go." I was like, "Oh, that's class." I was like, "A young lad, that's brilliant." They're like giving it. Look at that flash fucker. So obviously that didn't work out.
Okay, we've kind of come to the end of the podcast, and I think you agree. It's not been bad for a tenor, has it, really? Come on now. You heard it, Neil Warnock and everything else. But one thing I will end with asking Kevin, I could give you the thank yous, like I say, Hillsborough and everything else you've done for the club, the youth team record, playing over 400 odd games. But what is your standout memory of... Just tell us, being a QPR fan, wearing that shirt, when you come out that tunnel and you see the fans, what goes through your mind, and do they make a difference?
Oh, of course, but my recent standout memory is last year at Wembley. That was just, and that's I've never.
Oh, Bobby Zamora.
To be so bored. For over nearly 120 minutes, and then to absolute elation. It was just, I would just remember it. Just like I was like, this is. I'm always thinking, we're gonna have a shot. Yeah, this is crap. And next thing we score, and then I'm with. I had my kids there. They were absolutely. They were just. I spoke to my daughter there yesterday. I said it's a year ago. It was your. Communion, and we didn't have a party. It took her straight to the game, and she. And I said, "This is going to be the best party you will ever have." It was awful at the time, and then she said to me, "Daddy, I didn't know what was going on. Everyone was going mad." I went, "Yeah, we were going mad." But yeah, recent history that was just absolutely buzzing for 2 or 3 days, but obviously the Hillsborough at QPR was great memory, and we had great times, and that was a great squad and great bunch of people, great blokes, and that includes the staff as well. We had a real good team camaraderie, and it was just a little bit sad the way it sort of ended for Holloway, because if he was just backed a little bit with a bit of money, then we could have maybe carried it on a little bit more.
I'll tell you what, there's times tonight, I don't know what you lot feel, but the old QPR is still there. The heartbeat still beats strongly. We've got to take that in the next season and make that heartbeat massive. Kevin Gallen, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Everyone, next season, come on, you on! Come on!
The QPR podcast is a West 12 Media and Burble Media production.
QPR, Queen's Park Rangers are on the up and up. QPR,